we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast, go ahead, hit up our DMs at the Bigmark Pod, at the Bigmark Podcast on X, Twitter, whatever they're calling it these days, and Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. The best way to support the podcast. Subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends. If you tell one friend, we'll double the podcast listenership overnight. Look at how quick that'll happen. Anyway, thank you all. If you want to check out our Patreon too, there's different ways to support that way. Thank you all for joining me tonight. But I'd also like to thank my friend, Nicholas E.G. Evans.
Whoa, dude.
He's joining me tonight for my first guest in a long time. It's been great, and I'm glad you're breaking the ice here.
Yeah.
Because I got big plans.
Big plan. I'm scared.
We're getting close to 200. This is like...
Is that just on Spotify?
193 or 194 or something like that?
That's impressive. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, like of all the episodes, where are we at right now? I should know this. We're sitting at... This is 193.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shows.
Yeah.
You haven't missed one yet.
I haven't missed a week yet.
That's insane.
It's supposed to come out Wednesdays. Remember, check us out Wednesdays. Usually historically, I scheduled them to drop like at like midnight on Wednesday. So like, which is like kind of a weird time, I guess. I should probably like schedule it for like noon or something. Whatever.
Oh no.
But they're like out on Wednesday usually. Yeah. So I've never really missed I've rarely missed like the 24-hour period of Wednesday. Like sometimes it's going up at 11 on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I'm posting Instagram late. But yeah, normally like I haven't like not done one if I've gone away somewhere. I usually like do one ahead. Like funny enough, the last episode was just about my East Coast trip. Right. And I'd like did two. Oh, and I actually did one about Wolverine and Deadpool, which we saw in theaters.
We did see that,
which was fucking sick.
I'm a piece of shit. I didn't even listen to that podcast yet.
It's one of the newer ones, so you'll catch up. But someone thumbs it down because it's on YouTube, so like you can like thumbs down videos. Yeah, and someone thumbs it down, and they didn't make a comment, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, did this person get mad because they thought Deadpool and Wolverine were going to be on the show? Because that's what people have gotten mad at. I mentioned it before.
It's always a slippery slope when you're introducing those things.
Well, exactly, right? Like, I've done ones where like I've talked about the comedian Shane Gillis, and like, what else am I going to fucking title the episode other than Shane Gillis?
Yeah, it's not like you're saying with co-host Shane Gillis. It's
exactly, and like there's a thumbnail with a picture of just me.
Yes.
The description does say I talk about. Yeah. I don't say like I talk to.
Yeah.
And like for the guests, like it's just gonna say Nicholas Evans. It's gonna say Nick Evans, but like you're gonna be in the thumbnail and shit, and like it's gonna say like I'm talking to this chump.
Yeah, that's true. I am a chump.
No, that's just a joke. Me and Nick like to joke. So if things go off the rails, FYI warning, don't listen to anything he says. No. It's all a character piece.
I never know what's coming out of my mouth. And it's not like, I'm going to be saying some heinous things, crimes against humanity. It's just...
Yeah. Well...
Always winging it, dude.
We were even talking about it before about, like, we can't get too wild. Because, like, so Nick and I work together. So for everyone who's watching, who's wondering how we know each other, we work together at Escarpment Labs in Guelph. We make yeast. And, Nick makes it and I sell it.
That's true.
So we're the dynamic duo.
Yeah,
and we're missing Bunce and we're missing Chris Waterton, yes. But between the four of us,
we're unstoppable force.
Yeah, so you're like head of production, right?
I believe. Yeah,
actually, that's your title, right?
Yes.
So, for anyone who wasn't paying attention when I talked about yeast a long time ago, when I first started which was like 2 years ago now, actually, that I started at Escarpment Labs.
Damn.
Almost to the day. August 15th was my 2-year anniversary.
Review coming up.
Oh, yeah, I'm going down. No, they need me. That place would fucking come to a grinding halt. No, that's not true. People would just snap like twigs. We're running lean anyway. There's not a lot of room for error.
They trim the fat.
There's not a lot of room for error. We've learned this week, or these last 2 weeks actually, that we can do it, but it takes a village.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
It's
And
sweat inducing.
we need Chrissy back, and we need another person at least in every department.
Yeah.
It seems every single department at work right now seems like they could use one more body. Maybe not sales, to be truthfully honest, but every other department could use one more body, and it would help things extremely. But that costs a lot of money.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's how we know each other. And like I mentioned, you're the one that's making the yeast, which is essentially brewing like kind of shitty beer. Like, it's not a beer that you'd want to drink.
No.
But you're basically brewing beer.
Basically like a nutrient, sugar-rich medium that's just perfect for growing and amplifying yeast cells.
Unreal.
So,
because the yeast that brewers make beer with is essentially, well, it is sugar yeast, right? So it wants fucking sugar bad.
Yes.
So when you're brewing beer, you essentially are extracting the sugars from the malt for the yeast to eat, and then putting maybe some other flavors in there.
Yeah.
Bitterness from the hops. And that's the thing. People, I think a lot of, like, I mean, yes, in certain styles, a lot of flavor comes from the hops, but they look at it like the way their beer tastes comes from that.
Yeah, they usually think wort and hops is the main drivers for developing beer, but they completely overlook yeast. They just think it's like a tertiary ingredient, but I don't know, for a lot of styles, it is the main forefront of flavor.
Yeah.
And also it's going to control and dictate how your finished product is going to taste. So temperature and yeast are the two big drivers.
No kidding. And water profile.
Water profile. That's true.
Right?
It's mainly water. That shit pisses me off when people brew and they don't take any bit of time to figure out pH or salts or whatever.
Right. I haven't tried it yet, but Jamish, one of our other colleagues, who is the head of the homebrew department and a great brewer in his own right, gave me the 411 when I was trying to do that. What is it called? Is it double headed? Is that what that one beer is called? That like famous one, double headed. It's like an IPA, Westy. There's some like famous brewery in the States that does this beer. And anyway, we were doing a clone of it. We basically just wanted to do like a dank IPA because we were doing it on 420 and we're like,
Right.
Hey,
Oh,
420.
okay.
So like we like literally threw a nug or two in the fucking whirlpool. Like we're gonna get some flavor, get some bitterness out of it.
Interesting.
Right?
I've actually
'Cause they're
never
the same
heard anyone
flavoring.
adding that.
Like,
to
dude,
beer.
like a nug, it's probably not gonna do shit all, but
Yeah.
like one way or the other. Hopefully, it wouldn't make it bad.
There
It
was
might be a
still-
little green.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing, because it's like straight green. Well, it's like wet hop.
Yeah. I'm just curious, like, if it would lend any flavor. If there's enough to actually, like...
We could probably. I could. How much hops do you use in like a homebrew? Like 5 ounces, maybe.
Ounces.
Not even.
I usually go by grams. Like, it depends. Like, it's like a lager or something. Like maybe
28
20 to
grams
30
is
grams.
an ounce. 20.
Yes, 28 grams.
So
That's true.
1 ounce.
Yeah. 1 to 2 ounces for sure.
You could get that much weed, no problem these
Yeah.
days. We should try to do a homebrew
With weed.
instead of hops. Be interesting.
That
Why
would
not?
be... What if it's like... it's been a while. I've been out of the weed game for a long time. But
Sure.
I know there's some that smell really delicious.
Totally.
There's some that smell like grape or
100%.
orange crush.
Yep.
I don't know, like, are those flavors water soluble? Those
So that's the weird
aromatics?
thing with weed, right? The weird thing with weed is that I've always looked at it like that. There's kind of like three ways of tasting. You know, it's like the sensory of weed comes in like 3 packages. It's like you smell in the straight nug. When you cut the nug, sometimes it smells different.
Yeah.
And then of course when you smoke it.
Yes.
So there's different ways of actually taking it in, and I've had weed that smells like shit as a nug, unbelievable cut, and tastes like shit, or tastes unbelievable, has no real distinct smell before. I've had everything in between. I've like the best weed, and again, there's always so much like environmental bias with sensory. The best weed I've ever had was in BC. I just like got off like some guy that we're playing pickup with. It's like, yo, you know who only sells weed? He's like, yeah, my roommate. And he like met me back at the gym.
Yeah.
And we're like, boom, he just gave me like 1 gram, man. Like I was there for like a few days visiting my buddy.
Yeah.
in Victoria, and it was like crystally and like unreal, man.
Yeah.
Like I think because I was just like had no weed, and I was like, this is amazing. But like it was sick.
That's why people
Really,
rate
really
movies
good.
about
Oh yeah,
weed.
Pineapple Express type
Crazy.
shit.
Yeah, I miss those interactions where you don't just go to the store, but it was a whole ordeal. You have to talk to your friend or a friend's friend. They got to set you up, and it's always you don't know if it's gonna be sketchy or if they're gonna be like pretty chill.
Yeah. Well,
So
thankfully in Canada, it's not like the States where you could have weed dealers and then like drug dealers. Like
Right.
in the States, it's just drug dealers. Like you're going to go to jail for fucking 20 years for weed anyway.
you might as well make it worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you might as well sell coke and you might as well sell all this other fucking shit, right? So
We'll take the lot.
yeah. Fucking anything from the trolley, dear. And that's like the way she goes in the States. But again, thankfully, it can just be like your fucking cousin Greg just happens to have weed and he can sell it to you. And
Yeah,
like,
It's true.
it's not too shabby. Thank goodness. Here, let me hold your microphone for you
Oh, thank you, sir.
if you want to keep talking. But yeah, usually I have a stand here. We're still running lean in the Bigmark podcast studios. We only have art on the one wall.
It
if
looks
you can
great
tell.
though.
If you're watching-
very, very cozy.
If you're watching on YouTube, I got it. I still have to put up my Michael Jordan poster. I think that's what's going to go behind you. I've traveled with this. I was looking at it the other day. It's off camera, but you can see it down
Yeah.
the way there. You've seen it up at my old place.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan wings. It's got a William Blake quote on it. No bird can fly or can like soar so high if it's not on its own wings. I don't even know. I didn't even memorize the quote, and I just bastardized it. Something about wings and fucking basketball. Fucking winning 6 rings.
That's true.
And being the
I've
GOAT.
seen it. I read it. It was in Braille though, so it's
He's
rough.
the GOAT. Scott Barker. No, my fucking buddy Scott and us and me and in our group chat, we fucking have a ongoing debate between Jordan and LeBron
Oh, really?
about
Okay.
who's the greatest of all time. And like
What's your opinion?
I can't even say it here because the group chat has to continue. Because I've taken a relatively neutral approach.
Yeah.
But I have a really hard time. Like I didn't watch Jordan play.
Right.
I've seen clips.
Yeah.
And highlights
And
are
you
highlights.
own the merch.
And I own the merch clearly, and I fucking wear J's.
Yeah.
And I like the Steves.
But you
and
weren't
he
there
fucking is a golfer.
for the ride.
No, I mean I was alive.
No,
I was
but you
fucking a
weren't.
child.
You weren't invested. You
No.
weren't watching it, consuming it. I was on the Jordan train when Space Jam came out,
Sure. And I love Space Jam.
and that's it.
Curveball. Don't swing.
That's right.
It's my favorite Space Jam reference, and I think you're probably one of the only people who actually knew what I was talking
Like
about
right away.
when I
Man,
because like it comes out of nowhere.
it's
and
so funny. It's a quotable movie.
it's a great movie, and I mean like obviously Michael Jordan was acting in that, and like he seems like kind of a bastard. Like did you watch The Last Dance? That Jordan
Okay, I
documentary.
watched bits because Chelsea, my partner, was watching it
Yo,
when
what
it
up,
dropped.
Chelsea? Shut out.
Fuck you.
I wish
Kid, I love
I was hoping that she was gonna come and just be
Yeah.
off camera so we could just fucking beak her.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Or maybe we get Chelsea down here.
Yeah,
the
honestly, like
podcast.
that was the other thing I was wondering because like I can definitely hook up a third mic, and I think we have room in here to get 3 people in the frame, because I'll put the camera further back, because that's always the thing. Like, again, we're still figuring things out here in Bigmark Studios 3.0 now. 3.0.
Where's
I
the
mean,
fir-
we're
where's the
approaching
first location?
200, which is like what 4 years? No, yeah, you do maths.
I do math.
You got a math degree.
Not very good at it.
200 is almost 4 years. 204.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, 208.
4 years. What did you say?
52 weeks.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Right?
I'm like going by
Sorry.
days. I'm like, what?
No,
What?
weeks.
Yes.
Because I do it once a week. Because yeah.
That is true.
So yeah, leap year. I mean, it's a day again. But yeah,
That's impressive.
4 years
years of
non-fucking
this.
stop, baby.
That's crazy.
Let's go. I haven't run out
He's
of
a
topics
force.
yet.
He's momentum. He's going.
It's unstoppable. I'm the juggernaut, bitch.
He's jugging. He does jug from time to time.
We jug at work. You got to watch out.
Oh yeah, Last Dance.
But The Last Dance.
Yes. So I seen clips here and there.
Okay, sick. It's good. You both should watch it.
I need to watch it. Chelsea has seen it all the way through.
Oh,
So
right on.
I was only like,
You
I
should
don't
try
know
to
what the hell I
convince
was
her to watch it
doing,
again.
but I
Is
was
she a
watching it.
person who rewatches things?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's watched The Office like a million times.
Nice.
Gilmore Girls watching for like the 20th time.
Unreal.
Man, what else she watch? She's got
Rewatching
like a lot of old shows.
The Office is like relapsing for people who don't do drugs. I saw that quote somewhere.
I think that's accurate because I have a lot of friends who rewatch that all the time, and as much as I enjoy it, I don't know if I can. It always feels like a big task to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not as big of a fan as them.
Yeah.
Maybe I suck.
No, definitely not. But like, what is something that you find yourself rewatching a lot? Like in the same way. Do you have anything?
Honestly, probably Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
That one's only like a 26. It's not as big of a commitment, but
Sure.
the vibes are there.
See, I think that's the thing about the Office rewatch is it's so much content. You can just like kind of have it on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Most
just
people aren't
like-
watching it
yeah.
intently, but for some reason, every time I put on something,
Yeah.
unless it's Kung Fu Panda,
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda is my nap movie. I'm a grown ass man, but like, I find it hard to sleep during the day, and sometimes I want to nap.
Right.
So I will put that shit on within like 5 minutes. I'm
It
out
just
like
puts you out.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like some people have songs like that, right? Like some people have just like whatever they put on a
Yeah.
blanket. It's funny, like sensory things.
It's interesting.
I used to, not in the exact same vein, maybe in the opposite vein, but I used to watch the Incredible Hulk, the one with Ed Norton,
yeah.
before football games
Just to get you fucking pumped.
because it would get me
psyched
fired up.
Yeah.
The scene at fucking U of T, you know that
Oh,
scene?
yeah,
Where-
yeah.
With the fucking sound
Yes.
cannons.
Yes.
And then the fight with him in Abomination.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really watch the whole movie. I would just kind of watch
That
those
bit.
parts and just get
No.
amped up and be like, I have to do that on the court, on the field, on
Beat
the
your
court.
chest.
Grew up my whole life playing basketball, and I only played 8 years of football, and some of it was like university level, but I still fucking call it the fucking court. I'm such an idiot. But anyway, classic.
The green court.
But so anyway, back to The Last Dance. It seems in that he kind of is like Michael Jordan is like kind of a bastard.
Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes when people are great at things, we expect them to be like great people too. And I don't think that should be an expectation.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
And it does happen from
Yeah.
time to time. But
But it's
the
usually not the
expectation
case.
that you think that a person is going to be anything like how their craft is or like what they do.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, a little bit of a confusion of like what we think identity is too, right? Because we just see him as a basketball
Right.
player.
yeah.
So we judge him on how he plays basketball, which
Yeah.
is amazing and
Yes.
was like so again, this is the tough part with the GOAT conversation is at the time he kind of had like a cheat code. Like that was the thing about Jordan. The way he played, his mindset, his competitiveness, and his athleticism, because he wasn't always the best player like his whole life. He
No.
like really
No.
had to work to
Yeah.
where he got, you know, the famous story, he got cut from his junior basketball team, like his like whatever freshman, I guess. He was a freshman and he got cut or some shit like that. And he like carried that with him his whole career. He like called that coach out in like some Hall of Fame acceptance speech or something. I
But,
think
like,
he like
If that
carried
didn't happen,
it,
you
bro.
probably wouldn't learn
Maybe.
like how to be successful.
Maybe, right? Like I got cut when I was in grade 10. I tried out for the senior
Mm-hmm.
team, and by all rights, I probably should have made the team. But there was other things, like there was another kid who was like a 5th year guy who was like, yeah, he was a fucking locker room guy. They had to have him on. I look back on it, they had to have him on there, and like I probably wouldn't played that much,
Right.
And they really needed me in junior because they wouldn't have had any center, so I got it. But like it was like it was a learning lesson. I don't know if it like drove me to do
Right.
anything. I didn't like carry that with
Could
me.
be like just a little political in a sense. Like just
Well, it was like maybe
nepotism.
understanding things in a certain way. Like, you know, it was just like the first time I got cut from a team, I think too. So that was like a big hit.
Yeah.
But it didn't really necessarily like, because again, it was explained to me in that sense of like, they need you on the junior team. So I was like, okay, I could live with that. It was, but again, like if it was because like you suck, that would have definitely driven me to be better, whatever, right? So like, anyway, Jordan had to work to where, I don't even know how we got down that road. Anyway, Jordan had to work to where he got. And he had like a fucking legit killer mindset. Like he was probably one of the most competitive people that has ever been, which I think what is like, you know, he tried his hand at baseball and he was like not great, but he probably could have got great just because he has that mindset.
Right. Yeah.
Any sport, and he's a pretty good golfer. Like he's getting old now and decrepit, but I think if his body was good, he could get good at like any sport.
Yeah.
And it's just because he had like ultimate drive. But I think he was like a son of a bitch bastard. And say what you will about LeBron James, it doesn't sound like he's like a total cock. Yeah, he fucked around with going to Miami and like coming back to Cleveland. He kind of like fucked with the people of Cleveland. But like he's from around, he's from around there. But like he's played way longer. He doesn't have the rings. That's the one big thing that you can always say. Or maybe that, I don't know what the MVPs are at, because even though Bron's lost a lot, he's also won a lot of MVPs. But like Michael had a bunch of defensive player of the years. But again, I digress to that point I was making. Jordan just had a way in his time that made him so great. And because NBA, they were still like kind of big clunky guys still. You still had like Charles Barkley was a fucking star in the NBA. Like that just goes to show you didn't have to be like a fucking 6'9", 210, 220, like fucking Adonis and like dunk through the gym. Yeah. Like now you have to be like maybe even like 200, 210. Like everyone's so light in the NBA now, man. You don't get like these big Shaqs. You don't get those guys anymore, right? Like even in the 90s, you had Shaqs.
Shaq's build though, man. Like
he's built.
When he was peak like basketball,
for sure.
He was super athletic,
for sure,
and bulky, and
for sure. You can be both. Yeah. Speaking as one who was kind of athletic and bulky, if I do say so myself. No, you can be both, but again, like just the athleticism that the NBA has now become is an effect, I think, of Jordan. Yeah. Because everyone was big, and he was like 6'6", and like kind of a guard, but kind of a little bit of like a three, and like just could make shit happen and could jam and was like got super strong after like went on the Mexican supplements, probably
very interesting game, like a fast pace, aggressive game,
which was relatively rare at the time, because you had like these big bodies, your Patrick Ewing still, you had like fucking big ass people, Lambeer, all these guys like
fucking
Karl Malone's, like you had big guys still, so guys were fucking bodying each other back in those days. But then Jordan kind of was like so quick, and he did have this like crazy hang time. Yeah. Like I think that was like, I don't know how he really did that. I think he kind of would like lean on people a little bit. I think he was like a little bit tricky with it. But he would always and it was a timing thing. He would always just like wait until they started falling. Fucking like they would both go up.
Linger,
dude. The guy lingers. Fucking linger. But yeah. So like he had that ability, but again, I never really watched him play, so all I can really look at is stats.
Right.
And the way I look at the stats, I would take Jordan. But I think I think just based on fucking what's happening now and how LeBron has played through, like on that same token, he has played through this NBA that has changed through all that, and he still is relevant.
Yeah, because I guess Jordan played through like a turning point in
a bit of a turning point, like where he started. Magic and Jordan had just kind of revitalized the NBA. No one really gave a fuck.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, until in the late 70s, no one gave a fuck about the NBA. There was still the ABA, like semi-pro shit, like fucking Flint Tropics. Yeah, they were a fake team, but like the other teams, like the Nuggets and the Spurs and the Nets, I can't remember who else, but those were all ABA teams before. Right. So it was like a separate league that was happening.
And they got absorbed.
By the NBA. They got bought out by the NBA in the 70s. Yeah, and a bunch of other teams just disappeared, like Washington Bullets. disappeared for a bit, and they're back. They're the Wizards,
Yes,
but they
the
like
Wizards,
weren't
yeah.
they didn't have a team for a second. Anyway,
Zero franchise, right?
it's funny when you look back at some sports history where you'd think, oh, this team's been around forever, but like it hasn't, or it moved somewhere,
Right,
or
right.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's true. Isn't was it one?
look at the Jets. Look at the Winnipeg Jets hockey team.
Yeah, they were.
It wasn't there. Then it went to fucking wherever, Arizona. Is that where it went?
for real.
Yeah,
That would make
Is that
sense.
who the Jets
I
were?
mean, they got the fucking airbase there.
I think. I don't even know. And then it came back. Anyway, super trippy. They were the Coyotes, then came back to Winnipeg,
Like
and they
another
turned it
basketball
back
team?
into Jets.
Charlottetown Hornets.
Yeah.
They're Pelicans.
They're the Pelicans now. Charlotte, just Charlotte,
Charlotte.
not fucking
Shout
PI.
out to- yeah. Yo, go PI. Shut up the potatoes.
Shout out. Yeah, fucking Charlotte. They were the Hornets, and now they're the Pelicans, and they like move around. Then they were the Bobcats for a second too, I think.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
Jordan
yeah.
actually owned them, I think.
For real.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, he went to North Carolina. He went to UNC.
Yeah. I seen the jersey in the Space Jam movie.
Yeah, he
I
wears it
know.
under his shorts, and he had to get 2 cartoons to go get it. But yeah, fucking. I can't remember exactly where we were going with all that, but essentially,
Michael Jordan's the GOAT.
Michael Jordan.
But you
I
can't
think,
say
is-
that because you got
but-
a chat group. So you got
Well, no. Again, I like it's hard. It's a conversation
Yeah.
that is endless because you can never really verify it because
No.
we can't go back in time.
No.
And
And also, how would Michael Jordan fare if he was in like the Bronze League?
if they
now?
just dropped him in the
if
league
they just did
in
a
his prime,
switcheroo,
okay.
but I don't know. It's hard to say. because, like,
Interesting. So kind of to my point, I think LeBron wouldn't be seen as good as he is today because he wouldn't have been able to thrive as much because he's almost the mirror image of Jordan in today's league where he's still a big body.
yeah.
Like he's 6'8",
Yeah.
225 still.
He's a big-
and he's
big
strong.
fella.
And
Yeah.
he really maintains his strength and fitness. And he bodies these fucking wafer thin guys like
He bullies
Wembanyama guys. Like you've seen that Wembanyama kid. I don't even actually know his first name, but he
I don't
plays with the
think so.
Spurs. He's like
Wait, wait.
7'6" or whatever.
Maybe
so
Waters
long.
can
He's
show me
like
a
the
picture.
alien is his nickname. He's like mad long
So you
and
look like
lanky.
he's gonna break a limb any given second.
Potential. Like he's
Okay.
so thin. Or like you're like Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Like those guys, or Kevin Durant's even, where they're like just
Right, right.
lanky,
Yeah,
lanky and long, and just like able to move and quick off the
Who's
dribble.
is there a Russian basketball player, Boban?
Bobin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
dude-
he's
but
like,
he's not frail. Like he's
No.
got.
so
he's
you
huge.
still have a couple of those
Yeah.
guys, but they don't play minutes and they're not like the star.
Right.
That the way I look at it is like the star players really. Like
Okay.
you still have some guys like that are 7'2", 280.
Yeah.
Like big guys,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like they're not going to play a bunch of minutes. They're going to go and set a bunch of screens, box out. Like if I was a coach and we're playing the Spurs with that Wemby kid, the big tall kid, I'm putting in my tallest player who's the heaviest too, and I'm just going to tell him to lean on that motherfucker all game and just tire him out. You have 6 fouls to give.
Yeah.
Use as many. If you fucking foul out, try to make it the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
Damn.
And just fucking
That's good
get
strategy.
fouls and fucking beat them. But that's like an old school physical strategy where, again, now it's like there's a lot of speeds, like really high flying, but that's because they changed the league a little bit because they liked that. They liked what Jordan was doing. So other players growing up watched that and tried to emulate that. So that fed that because there is that like that Carter effect, that Vince Carter
Yep.
effect thing. Did you
Yep.
ever watch that one? That was a good
No.
documentary.
I've
That was
watched
more about
Coach
like
Carter.
Toronto specifically. Yeah, that was like my coach in high school. But no, it's like the Carter effect of like being able to see a professional on TV in your hometown
Yeah.
and be like, oh, I could do that too.
And then like mimic it.
Essentially,
And just-
well, it's someone to like for sure
Yes.
mimic, and like even I remember as a kid like watching Space Jam and like learning something from that scene where he's just taking slow-mo jump shots.
Yeah.
Remember that where
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah,
warming
yeah,
up?
Yeah.
That is like I took it as like, I'm going to try to do that because it's fucking Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And so obviously it's good.
Yeah.
But like you see it from 20 angles.
Yes.
It's sick.
Yeah.
Like it's actually like if I was ever a coach, I would put that shit on and try
Get
to
people pumped
isolate
up.
the fucking
Yeah.
no, like to teach kids how to shoot.
True.
Like I'd try to isolate the Looney Tunes from it if I could. But just be like, watch Michael shoot here and try to do that
clean.
because his biggest thing again, that hang time, is essentially you just jump as hard and as high as you can every time you do something. And I think that's what it is that he springs with everything he got, and he had really good jumping ability. He would just fucking unload the springs on the shot, and no matter what, you're reacting to that as a defender. And you can't put in 100% because there's actual like cognitive load of you reacting to it first. If you're generating the movement like consciously, you're like, I'm going to jump. You're going to jump as high as you can possibly jump if you're trained to do that. If I have to wait to see you jump first and then I'm jumping, that cognitive load, well, I'll never be able to jump, even if I do have the same jumping ability.
You're going to be
as you.
delayed.
Right.
Yeah. And then also it could be a mind game too.
It's a mind game. And again, you're reacting, right? So like, but yeah, his thing was he'd just jump with everything he got, and just at the very height, like right before he started to fall, he'd release.
Damn.
So tried to shoot it like that.
Net
kids.
zero. That's when you release.
Not like I was a great shooter anyway. My high school coach gave me the red light anyway, so I couldn't shoot. Well, at least definitely from the 3-point line. I think I only took one in the game, and it was an air ball. It was so bad. It was ice cold off the bench.
No.
I just walked on and shot.
Yeah.
And stupid.
Oh,
Air ball.
fuck.
I was like, oh, you idiot. But I did hit one in like a charity game in front of the whole school, which was
That's pretty
sick.
sick. That is sick. That must have felt real good.
That was a great feeling. And so I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but in Hamilton, I don't know if they still do it. I hope they do. They have this thing called the Cops and Cats. So it's the Hamilton Police, the Cops, and the Hamilton Tide Cats, the Cats.
Yeah.
And they make a basketball team,
Really?
co-ed,
Sick.
and they go around Hamilton high schools and play like usually a conglomeration of the senior boys and girls team and some teachers.
Wow. That
It's
sounds
fucking fun.
hilarious.
It's
I want to
and
see
the
it.
whole school buys out. I bet there's some film somewhere. I don't know if I could ever get it, but it was fucking cool, man. Like the whole school would buy out. Like they put a toonie in, for that's the charity gimmick, and then they'd all fucking sit in the stands and fucking rip, and we'd rip a whole game in front of them. And it's like rare. Like I don't know what it was like. So you went to high school in Pickering, right?
No.
Where'd you go to high school?
That was in Deer Lake.
Okay, that's
That was
Deer
at
Lake,
Elwood.
Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Everyone listening here, we got a Newfie on our hands. He's in our midst.
Yeah. That's true.
If you couldn't tell.
Shout out Elwood.
Yo, what up?
I was
The Raw?
barely there.
So that's where you went all 4 years of high school?
3.
3 years.
It's 3 years there. So
Wait a minute.
yeah, it goes like elementary,
Okay.
and then you do Xavier Junior High for 4. It goes
So
6 to 9.
So you go to Xavier School for the Gifted, and then
That's right.
Wait,
was
what's elementary? 1 to 7 or 1 to 6?
1 to 5.
1 to 5. Okay, so I went to Catholic elementary,
Mhm.
which is 1 to 8.
Yeah,
So junior
So-
is 6 to 8, or junior high is 6 to 9.
6 to 9.
Ooh,
Whereas, like, I lived in Pickering for a bit,
sure.
and I went to elementary school there, and it was 1 to 8, and then I would
Yes.
have went 9 to 12 at St. Mary's.
Yeah. That's my high school in Hamilton. I went to St. Mary's.
It's crazy.
Funny enough, there's a lot of St. Mary's.
Yeah,
A lot of St.
A lot of
Mary's,
saints out
a
there.
lot of St. Paul's. In Canada, there's a lot of Sir John A's.
yeah.
A lot of Sir John A high schools.
Yeah.
There's one here in Hamilton. There's one in Waterloo or Kitchener.
Damn.
Anyway, there's tons. I'm sure there's one in Toronto area. So, okay, so you went to high school out there.
Mhm.
Why was I asking that? Good question.
The cops and the tiger.
Oh, yeah, the Cops and Cats.
Yeah, cops
so,
and cats.
I don't
pissed.
No, I don't know why I even said like.
Just the
Oh,
basketball
okay. This
setup?
is why I brought it up. Fuck,
Okay.
I'm sorry, everybody. Anyway, we got it. We're here. It's all right. Like, did your high school have a lot? Did it have a lot of sports? Like, was there a lot of sports being played?
basketball and hockey.
Nice.
We also had volleyball and soccer.
Okay.
But I would say the biggest ones were hockey and basketball for sure.
And the school really supported that. Like, did you guys go to games?
Yeah,
Was it a
especially like
thing?
when the team started getting like good, we had like a coach switch over. Someone who was a old English teacher at Elwood came out of, I guess he was up north coaching. He was coaching teams like in Nunavut, I believe.
Damn.
And then he came back and coached us, and he was really good. Like, he was a game changer.
It's like
he was
Will Sasso
he was
in that lacrosse movie. You ever seen
didn't
that one?
know Will
He's
Sasso
like,
was in a lacrosse movie.
I'm pretty sure he's like coaching lacrosse in fucking Nunavut or something.
For
it's
real.
wild. Anyway,
That
we got
is
to
bizarre.
figure out. Anyway, that might be racist as fuck. But
But
so
yeah.
he came down to coach you guys.
Yes, and like, I don't know, the way we viewed him, like he was just amazing because we never had anything like that. So a lot of like the other teams around Newfoundland would kind of make fun of us for like praising up our coach so much, but it's like we never had anyone as invested.
Sure.
And like, we didn't win or nothing all that often, but we felt good when we were playing. Like, we felt like we've seen massive improvements from when we started playing. So,
And what did you play?
like power forward and post, believe it or not. I had
Unreal.
hops.
Unreal.
I had hops.
Nice. And how, like, you were this tall in high school?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
I think
so. What, like
when I was
what are you,
15 is
6'2"?
when I hit this. 6'1".
6'1".
Yeah.
So like good height.
Yeah. But like
Was
there
there a
was
lot of tall kids
there was
in
tall
your area?
kids. There
Yeah, yeah.
was. Especially like further east you go. They just had like a bigger gene pool to like pull from.
Sure.
And yeah, some of them were tall. Like I remember one of the guys I had to go up against was 6'8", and I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? And it was
You
bizarre.
ball.
It was
Man,
crazy.
It's funny sometimes. Like we played in a tournament down in Florida, and there was like a little fire hydrant type kid fucking guarding me. Man, I like blew my knee out a little bit, so it's hard to say. But like he was guarding me tough, bro.
Yeah.
And like you can tough it out against some big guys. Like the height difference doesn't always mean shit.
No.
So
Yeah,
just basketball,
You got
did
to
you play
be
anything
like
else?
witty. Honestly, my main sports were always skateboarding and snowboarding.
Sick.
Like I spent all my days, if I could skip school to go do any of those things, that's what I was doing. Like
Nice.
I'd get up. I was always morning person. Like I'd get up at like 7. I didn't even eat breakfast. I didn't even drink water. I would just get up and just start doing that.
Sick.
And I couldn't get enough of it. Lived and breathed.
You had like places to skate.
Oh
and,
yeah.
like, yeah.
Like they weren't the best because, you're living on the west coast of Newfoundland where it's just windswept and, you get dust everywhere and rocks. So
Yeah. What's the population of Deer Lake?
it's like under 5,000.
Okay.
And I think it's always been like that. But I mean,
I want to call it Red Lake, where my family's from.
Yeah.
That's Western Ontario,
no deer in Deer Lake, by the way.
which is odd.
Moose and caribou.
Who called it that?
Colonial settlers, dude. They're crazy for this
They
one.
just hunt out the deer?
There's no deer.
There's never been
no
deer.
And the only thing native there was the caribou.
Yeah.
And,
Maybe they thought these were deer.
I mean, they're technically reindeer in a way.
Right.
But
If they're like Norwegian settlers, they could call them deer.
yeah. No
Anyway.
Norwegians, though. I wish.
Any like, there's no like, Scandi fucking,
No Scandies.
out
No
there?
Scandies.
No,
No.
like where'd Leif Erikson
It's,
fucking land?
Yeah, we got the Irish, the French, Scottish, Brits,
So Leif Erikson came and went, and no
the
one else followed.
indigenous.
Right.
But
So there's no real like Norwegians or
No.
Finnish or.
not
Huh.
that. I mean, like
Where are those people
back in the day,
Canada?
maybe because we
'Cause
had
it's so weird.
what was it Lansing Meadows.
Okay.
So that has some findings of Vikings.
Whoa.
So I mean, they were there, but they just didn't stick around.
So there's a Gimli in Manitoba and shit, and like Little Norway. There's like all that. That's on like the western side of Lake Winnipeg.
Okay.
But like it's kind of weird that like Leif Erikson, who I guess discovered Canada, right? Like we credit him with being one of the first people who landed,
him
right?
and John Cabot.
But then he fucked off, right? And then Cabot came and was like, all right, let's make this trail.
Yeah.
Cape Breton's kind of cool. And then like, let's see what else is around here. But like, yeah, like it's funny how there aren't like, there's some Scandies around, but it's not a lot of Scandinavians in Canada.
Yeah. I think
Interesting.
what like maybe like the prairies and like northern
Yeah,
states,
maybe
like
out that way.
Midwest. There's a lot of
Well, definitely into the States, I feel they went, and like the Pennsylvania Dutch and stuff.
Yeah.
They're German.
yeah.
But like, yeah, I think I was gonna say maybe Manitoba, but Minnesota,
big,
right?
yeah.
Interesting, but like it's also like it's not like they had to like get away from anything, right? They're not like the other immigrant groups
I think they just,
that were like fleeing shit, like the Irish,
we're probably
or
just
like
like
Polish.
farmers and laborers seeing like good job opportunity.
Or just like their way of life in their home country was as good or better anyway. So what's the point of leaving?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? But yeah, like again, everyone else came here were like more or less fleeing some oppression, war, famine.
That's
Right. So those people were hardworking motherfuckers that were just desperate for anything and got sent to mines. Like again, Inverness, Cape Breton, where I was just at, is coal mining. So there's a lot of immigrant groups there because
coal mines.
Mines. That's where how Inverness is like started.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because Trevor, whose family we were out visiting, they were coal miners and they all lived in like a company house, like right on the fucking main drag.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's
open mine.
Do they call it site, like town site?
Maybe.
Okay. I just
is that like a thing out there?
Well, I know like at Newfoundland when the paper mill started up, like downtown Corner Brook, they have like a bunch of commodity housing, and they call it like that's called town site.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering if it transferred over.
Perhaps it's pretty spread out. Like it's not what I expected. Like even here in Hamilton, you still see like some remnants of like the homes built for the steel mills.
Yeah.
They're all like beside each other.
Especially when you're traveling on what the fuck's that?
Like Burlington Street? No.
On the maybe it's Burlington. The one that runs into the Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, Burlington Street.
You'll see houses there, and you're like, am I in Detroit?
A bit. Yeah, so some of those houses right there for sure, and then just like that whole north end kind of thing was just built by people or by and for people that were working in those and coming home from the war too. A lot of those are like post-war homes.
That's crazy.
Like where my childhood house was like a post-war home. So like some of them are different now because people have done renovations, and when you were building them, you had some options of like switching things up. But like most of those homes are like exactly the same, and they were all built like for that same purpose. But there's so many of them. Yeah, it's just like what the fuck. Yeah. Even these surveys you see now, it's the same idea. It's just kind of like endless homes. But obviously Inverness is not a big town, so you can only have so many, and probably a bunch of them have fallen down because there's there's two right beside each other in town, and one looks like it's like splitting in half.
Oh, really?
Like it's not in the best shape.
That's that boggy area.
It's right, like it's a stone's throw from the Atlantic. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's taking all those hard winds.
Hard winds, bud.
Hard.
But the reason I ask is like when I was playing, the reason I asked about your high school experience playing sports was when I was playing most of the, like I played football, I played basketball, which are high, those are like high interest sports. It's not like I was playing badminton or like fucking some esoteric, or like even when I threw shot put, I didn't expect anyone to watch that.
Right.
But fucking basketball and football, like that's fucking interesting.
That's a crowd like supported sport.
Yeah, and like we had some people come to them, but not any students really. It was really weird, man.
When we had basketball tournaments, it would always be packed with parents.
Yep.
And not even like parents of children like playing on the team. Like sometimes they were like, hell yeah, like I want to see this.
Yeah.
And the bleachers would be packed.
Yeah. Dude, I growing up, my dad would always take me to high school basketball games.
They're so fun to watch, man. They're electric.
They are. And like there were some, like if it was an important game, like if it was the city championship, when I was in grade 9, our senior team made it to the city final, and the fucking gym was packed, but it was packed with both schools. Right. But like home games, regular season, no one gave a fuck. And like we weren't that great at either sports. Maybe that had something to do with it. Like if we were sick, maybe.
But I remember like even some, like we would get out of class a little early to go support the game.
Rarely, we would do like maybe one of those like buyouts a year where we would like collect, people would have to pay to get out, and most people would just leave. They wouldn't come to watch, or they'd watch the first half and dip.
Just not interested.
So again, like I said, it's not like we were super sick.
Right.
It would have been, but who fucking cares, man? Like I also grew up with my parents. Like my dad was like a basketball star in high school. Like he was started, and like they had cheers and they had a cheer with his name, like with his name in it specifically.
That's
that
so
they would
sick.
do, and other guys on the team. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't, but like he was like a fucking star on the team.
Yeah.
So I grew up with stories from my mom being a spectator at those games, and then my dad being a player in those games. So I had this like holistic view of like, man, high school sounds sick. Like I can't wait to like play these games. And
Marky was wrong.
I was so fucking wrong, man. And like it seemed like it was like, I mean, you're a couple years younger than me, but like it seems like I just kind of missed that. It seems like it was like, honest to God, I don't want to sound like a naysayer and like a technology denouncer, but like when actual social media started hitting,
Right.
and again, I know, and you know my bias with video games, but I think online video gaming too, where you could go home and have like meaningful connections with people,
Yes.
and like do other stuff at home.
See, like everyone that I play with, we were all gamers too.
Sure.
Like hard gamers. Like we would crush like 8 to 10 hours of COD or Halo or whatever competitive game we were playing.
Right.
And we would still play sports, and we would
Sure.
still, socialize and drink and whatever.
Sure. See,
So
it didn't really seem like everyone could do that, at least in my like peer group. Like it really seemed like everyone was one or the other. And like, bro, I was like, for high school basketball, we practiced every night,
right.
and then 2 morning practices a week, and then during season there was 2 games a week. So like you were like you had the
Yeah.
weekends, but some of those
See, that's a
weekends
different-
were tournaments. You'd
like-
go on tournaments.
We were not that invested. We did not
Sure.
have, like, I think, if I remember correct, it was probably like 3 nights a week of training.
Yeah.
But like we never had morning practices or anything, and the tournaments were far and few in between because we lived on an island, and we had to do long travel to go play in tournaments.
Sure.
So
And I think maybe again like that balance, I think that there's merit in that balance, but I also existed, or when I was in high school, there was this faction starting which didn't exist before, where they were like, if you played sports, that was like, you better be playing, you better be training, you better be going to sports specific things. Like if you want to be an athlete, you are a fucking athlete.
Right.
And I think that scared the shit out of a lot of the kids.
crazy. We had
Because why does that have to be? That doesn't have
Yeah.
to be, especially in who cares about high school?
Yeah.
The good guys will go on and play in
Yep.
university, but like, why does everyone on the team have to be a lean? Because then what happened in Ontario, I don't know if you noticed, they have like sports academies now.
Oh, really?
They're like separate from the other schools. And it like,
So it's no longer like high school teams. It's like specific.
no,
leagues?
the high school, like the academies will play the high school's teams too. But now those high school's teams suck because all the good kids are at these academies now. And then the academies will play each other. And once there's enough of them, I think now that there's enough academies, I think they play each other. But before, they would just play other schools.
This is a bizarre concept because, like, I don't know, for the most part, especially like on the West Coast,
Yeah.
I don't know, no one's like thinking I'm going to be an athlete unless it's hockey. Some people like have
sure.
a really good shot.
Sure.
They're cracked.
Sure.
But yeah, not once have I ever overheard a conversation of someone saying like, this is the thing that I'm doing. It was honestly just for fun. And like
Right.
a lot of people are just naturally athletic and talented.
Yes.
And it was just for like fun and competitive sport. That was
And I
it.
think even back in my parents' days with all those stories, I think it was also that. Like, especially being in Canada,
Yeah.
there was not a lot of Canadian pro athletes, so they knew the fucking bar was super high.
Yeah, just hockey.
Unless it was hockey.
Unless
Sorry.
it's hockey.
Unless it's hockey. But
Yeah.
if I'm talking football or basketball, very few Canadians, like back in the day.
Yeah.
It's super inflated now.
Yeah.
But that's pretty new, man. That's like our generation new.
That's wild.
That did not really happen
Yeah.
before. Like Steve Nash is fucking really sick.
Yes.
But he had to be that sick. He had to win 2 MVPs to be like,
Where's he-
Canada might be actually okay
Where's
at
he
basketball.
from?
He's from BC.
It's from okay.
Yeah, he's from
Damn.
BC. And it
Bring
went to
back
Santa Clara, I guess.
Fucking Vancouver.
Grizzlies, man.
dude.
Oh, they were sick, man. They had fucking dope
The merch
jerseys.
was sick. I
They
remember my mom made us blankets. It was like Raptors on one side and Vancouver Grizzlies on the other. And it was like, I don't even watch this shit.
Oh,
This is cool.
but it's steezy. The fucking colorway was nice.
Yeah.
And the collar was dope. Big Country Brian Davis. That was my fucking G. Number 50. He's a big white guy. He was sick.
Does Memphis still rock those colors?
I think they do a throwback every once in a while, but like no, they're like blue and yellow and gray. They blew it.
They shot the plot.
But yeah, I think like even back in the day, I think in my parents' day, like they just celebrated that those kids were good at sports then and there.
Yeah.
There was like they were way more comfortable with just being like, all right, this is a snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
They're fucking good right now.
Yeah.
This is fun. We have nothing else to do except drink and they do drugs.
Hell yeah.
Listen to music back in those days, right? Like there was 3 channels. Right? So again, that's the only thing I can look back to being like, all right, there was nothing to do back there. That's why they came. Mm-hmm. Now, in our generation, there was something to do.
Yes.
So kids just did that.
Yep.
It was easier. You know, it was fun. It was new, right? Like, they've seen fucking basketball games before. Mm-hmm. They hadn't fucking, DM'd each other on fucking Facebook before and, like, whatever. That shit was just, remember? That shit was just exciting.
That was so...
Just doing it because it was new.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like we I think, again, you're a couple years younger, but I think you still were old enough to live in that world where we lived before it and lived after it.
Went through the awkward phases of early social media.
Really testing the waters, really seeing some shit we shouldn't have seen.
Putting yourself out there, vulnerable statuses.
Yeah, watching videos that we should have never seen. Crazy shit, deep dives.
That's a canon moment, dude.
It has to happen. It has to happen. But yeah, it's super weird how that happened. But you're big into gaming and stuff like that too, right? So like it is this whole other world, right?
Yeah.
Like it can be completely all consuming.
Yes, 100%.
And we've had conversations about my one buddy who went down a dark path on the Dark Souls. He went too deep. No, like there was, concurrent things happening there, of course. But even way before, like when we were kids, when I'd go there and he'd be playing WoW, and I would I'd show up. This was after school.
Yeah,
I'd show up at his house, like half hour after we got home because we lived close, and like I just like went home, got changed, came over. He's already playing. Mm-hmm. I'd sit on the edge of his bed in his room and like talking to him, and he's talking to me back, but just playing. And then I'm like, an hour later, I'm like, all right, man, peace. And he's still playing.
See, that's bizarre because
of course,
most of the time, or actually every time when I'm like with friends who also, game, if not, as much or more than me, it's usually like we're going to put on a multiplayer game or we're going to take turns playing this one.
Fair.
Or we're just not playing anything. Now,
in my buddy's defense, I've never been a real gamer ever, and I didn't know shit about that stuff. Mm-hmm. And he did give me a try.
Right.
Like we did make a character.
Right. Were you like uninterested though? Like you weren't invested?
I just couldn't really fucking work it. Because I was like, I was kind of used to console games.
Okay, so
definitely not down. And his
bizarre.
was PC.
Yeah.
And he had like a legit rig with like crazy sensitive shit, which I think was maybe the issue.
The mechanical. Oh, like his mouse was like
his mouse and everything was just like it was like built, bro. Like his shit was sick, bro.
Yeah.
He was sick. Like he had like apparently he had like $10,000 rig.
$10,000 rig.
I don't think he like however he accumulated that.
Right.
If he was to sell it, he could have sold it for like 10 grand or something.
That's crazy.
Like how that stuff was people buying characters. Anyway, so I did try it, but like I love racing games and I love sports games because they're social. I like playing in the same room. Like if we had a console here, I could play the night away if we were doing something like Mario Kart type shit. Or like Madden, I'd play for fucking time. And I played a little bit of COD, like eventually, good old fashioned point and shoot.
Yeah.
But like anything outside that realm, I was like, I didn't know really. Like I had Fable, I had the original Xbox. Fable came with it.
Fucking love Fable.
And
I spent hours in that.
And I just didn't really get into it. Like I played it, but like it just wasn't like really like I wasn't like this is sick because
that game.
I don't know. My imagination is maybe weird in that way. Like as a kid, I used to hate toys that would talk. Like that would say something when you hit the button.
You already had like a voice made up for them or something?
Or I felt it was limited. Like that's all it can say.
Right.
I want to be able to imagine anything.
That's
And
actually
if
such a like insight on how you operate.
Probably.
I love it. That's so cool.
Right? So that was heavy me as a kid. And I remember being like, fuck, when I'd get a toy that made, and I was like, shit, like, that's all this thing can do. Yeah. Anyway, right? So I liked, and I also loved like the original Batman the animated series action figures too, because those were just solid fucking, they looked like the animated thing. They looked
so sick.
They were great toys. Yeah. Good representation. I mean, they're fucking cartoons. Yeah. But
sometimes they just like,
they could be shit.
You know, when you get them in a physical form,
the fucking
it's just like
eyes
this
like off and
yeah.
shit. They took care. Yeah. So I love, anyway, so that was my whole thing. So I think that maybe carried in a little bit to the to those type of role play games where like there's so much already built into the character. I have to like play as this character now.
Right.
Like I think maybe in that same sentence, I would enjoy like these really open world games that are like I heard it was shit, but No Man's Sky. Did you remember that when it came out?
There was a lot of hype around it.
There's a lot of hype,
and then
it just didn't turn
like
out.
It flopped.
Yeah.
But I never played it because to me those kinds of like super open world games, I find them like overstimulating because it's just like I need some sort of like
give me some
task
base.
To do to get some satisfaction. I need an end as well.
So that's where I'm like, I got to do these fucking tasks. Like there's a fucking storyline that is predetermined. Like no matter how many steps and checkpoints they put in the way, it's predetermined already. So I think that's where I used to get hung up because No Man's Sky actually really excited me, and I had nothing to do with games.
Right.
But because my buddy was into it, he was telling me like early, because they would read PC Gamer and shit. Like they knew about him and his brother.
Right.
I'm not just talking about one guy. My buddy and his brother were like sick. Both of them were sick of gaming, and they'd be like reading PC Gamer and like all types of shit, PC Mag, whatever. Anyway, so I knew about it, and I was like, that seems really interesting. But it was a shame that it sucked.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure. I think there was like an overhaul,
right?
And there was I think they improved it, but I just wasn't for me that one.
But again, I always still lean towards like a game where you're in the same room with someone and you're like playing, like, again, you know, online is an extension of that. Don't get me wrong. But again, just being able to fucking nudge your buddy or like yell at him or like, or if you're playing co-op, like me and my buddy, the same gamer guy, we played co-op Halo.
Oh yeah.
And we would rip co-op Halo. Like that was sick.
Yeah. That was so much fun. Like early childhood, like, me, my brother, and his friends and my friends constantly at it, always starting campaigns and playing. Yeah. Sometimes it would get heated. You fucking suck, bro. But
I know. I used to always send him in first and shit. I'd be like, I'm a puss.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I suck.
I love those games. They're so good.
I'm a good wingman, man. I'll support.
Support system.
I'll put down some suppression fire.
That's plasma grenades.
Got that fucking Indian rubber ball going.
Oh yeah,
that's good for the plantar fascia.
He's not kidding.
If you guys have sore feet, get a lacrosse ball. Go to your local sports store.
Will Sasso will set you up.
Will Sasso probably works there. But yeah, it's good for the feet. Nikki and I work out a little bit together too. We work and we work out. It's been a while. I fell off completely. Slight injury.
Yeah.
And moving.
A
bunch of shit happened, but fuck, that was 3 months ago now, so I better get my shit together. But we might be looking at a new gym.
Mm-hmm.
That Amazing Fitness,
I fell off recently. Just haven't had it in me to go, but I've been like getting pumped up again to go back. I got goals.
We also dicked ourselves by choosing Crunch Water Down.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be good because it's on the way home from work, but it's just like...
Which is... we thought it was the perfect position, but... in hindsight, because we're on different schedules, that never was necessarily a perk.
No.
I mean, it helped when we would live close together because then we could go together.
Yes.
But I think now it would make sense to go to Amazing Fitness because it's between both of us where we live, which I think
they also seem like they have decent equipment.
Dude, honestly, I feel like they'd give us a day pass. So we should do that before obviously doing anything. Yeah. Just go in there and be like, can we get a day pass?
What the vibes are and what their equipment's all about.
That's it.
And how
it'd be one evening. It'd be one evening, 2 hours.
Be honest, the treatment we got when we went to Crunch was so bizarre.
If anyone from Crunch Canada is listening, I hope you are, because fuck Crunch, by the way. They fucked over my friend Sophie too in that barn with that weird shit that went down, the manager and shit. But yeah, man, you remember that? Like, what did they do to us?
The guy was just
or what didn't they do to us? I should say.
I don't know. Just very, I don't know, like reserved. It's like we were supposed to know exactly what we were doing, like signing up wise.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm giving you my money.
Yes. And
it was like they were just figuring out how to sign people up for the first time and ignoring us and dealing with another member's problem and completely like sidelining us.
There's 3 of us signing up that day. They should have rolled out the fucking red carpet, man.
And they didn't even give us a tour.
They didn't
explain anything.
No safety features.
That's a big one. Like,
dude, so I used to be a personal trainer, and where I used to work was over and above. But safety, bro.
Yes. Like, they don't know that we're experienced going into that. I mean, even if they just mentioned, we could have been like, actually, you know what? I think I know how to operate some of these things, but they didn't even bring it up.
No.
And it's just like, that's just poor. Like, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
If they're treating everyone like that.
It was decently clean. I never actually even looked in the showers. It was a little wet in the men's
I
bathroom.
waffle stomp one out every once in a while.
But like the change room area was okay. It was okay.
Yeah.
But like it's just a big box. It was overcrowded.
Also,
there was
one
no
thing I don't
real.
like is like going into the bathroom. You're like always about to bang into someone.
Oh, always.
You gotta fucking
no one
ride
knows
the
how to
wall
walk
like a
there.
cat, dude.
No one knows how to walk there. When you're going out, you hug the inside, and when you're coming in, you hug the house. Like,
but human nature, you want to go.
I know you want to cut the corner.
Yeah,
and you can't tell if anyone's coming.
I'm going fast. I'm going hard.
I'm coming like
curveball, don't swing.
At least if you're coming in, you got it on the people coming out because they're weakened by their workout.
That's true. I literally keep my eyes out on the guys doing leg day.
Yeah,
easy. They're easy targets. You could just buckle them, fold them up like lawn chairs.
Just poke them in the back of the knee.
I'm just kidding. Those guys are pretty big. Don't hurt me.
But yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I think Amazing Fitness might have a meathead or 2 in there, which is always encouraging.
Yeah, you see a meathead, you're like.
That's the thing. That was always disheartening about Crunchwater down. There wasn't enough meatheads. There was a lot of broccoli heads, a decent amount of ladies, but like no meat sticks, and that's always a bad sign.
That's true.
And like, because it's funny, because the gym I used to work at was basically anti-meathead, but like I said, I would have never worked out in the gym that I worked at, which is funny. Like, I wouldn't have gone there to be like, this is my gym.
Yeah.
I don't think their dumbbells even went over 100.
I think in the corner,
which I haven't touched an over 100 dumbbell in a while either. But don't get me wrong.
In the corner, they had some that
at Crunch, but at my gym that I worked at.
Okay.
But no, like Crunch had decent free weights. They were okay. But no lifting platforms. It looks like Amazing Fitness. So there's a place in Hamilton called Amazing Fitness that Nikki and I were looking at, and looks decent. And there's like boxing there.
Yeah.
And that weird climbing thing. So that's the thing. It's funny because you sent that to me way back. And I looked and like the first thing that comes up is this weird like obstacle course jungle gym.
And I want to climb it bad. And like, I want it.
So when I looked at it, and this was my mistake, I looked at it and I thought that was the whole gym. Right. I'm like, can't be. What are you gonna? We're not gonna fucking work the fucking jungle gym every time we go there. I just didn't look enough into it, and I was like, Amazing Fitness, this sounds fucking whack. But then, since I moved into the new place, I drive past it every day, and I'm like, oh, that's Amazing Fitness.
Right. How big is the building, by the way?
It's pretty fucking big, bro. It's like a quarter of the fucking horsefly. God damn it. There's a fly in here, people, that is literally the size of a chihuahua. It's huge.
You tried to sell me Taco Bell earlier.
It put my shirt on. It stretched it out. I was like, hey, take that off. Stretch it. Well, it's going to be on camera. Trust me. It might knock the camera over if it hits it. Fuck.
Actually might carry me out of here, dude.
Oh, God. It just might. But yeah. Fucking classic. But yeah, Nikki, thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This was my... I don't know, first podcast interview talk type deal.
Yeah.
Had a good time.
Yeah. See, like, that's the thing. I've said this before. I usually say this with my guests. I try not to, like, go be like, all right, we're going to talk about your thing. I have had a couple people on who are like, I'm going to talk about my expertise. And like it came up, we talked brewing and we talked about all types of shit, right? So it's always fun, but we'll have you on again.
Yeah.
We'll have you in Chelsea.
We could do deep dives eventually.
Oh yeah. Again, like, I've had my buddy Jack on a bunch of times, my buddy Christian, John Harley's been on a couple times. John Harley. Like most of my friends come on multiple times, so it's always fun to crack the crust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet buddy, thanks for coming over.
Thanks, man.
We'll talk about your tattoos later.
You don't want to know about
that's how much you love fucking Dark Souls.
The Dark Souls.
We'll get into it next time.
Watch out.
Check it out. You want to say hi to anybody? Or bye? Or an outgoing message?
Got nothing.
All right, I'm going to say bye to everyone. If you think of something to say, you can say it when I'm done. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Thank you for Nicholas E.G. Evans for joining us, for gracing the fucking studio with his presence and cracking the crust in here. Can't wait to get some new people on. I love you all. Check out our Patreon. Nick Evans, Deer Lake, Newfoundland, Brewing, Scarman Labs.
Adios, amigos.
Peace. Peace. Peace.